What's better than a GPS for RVers? How about a good free GPS for RVers? How's it going? I'm Jared Gillis. Welcome to another All About RVs. Today we're going to be looking at a GPS solution that RVers can use to be able to navigate in real time, to be able to enter in the length, the height, and the weight of their RV so that you can have the best navigation for your size of an RV. Now, this Truck Map app has been out for a while, but they've made some recent improvements that I think have really pushed it to the forefront of why I would be excited about it. Okay, when I get in the vehicle to drive the RV, there's a few things that I want out of the GPS, a few criteria that I want it to meet. Number one, I want it to be able to fit the size of our RV, to be able to put in the dimensions and have it navigate according to those dimensions and the size of what we're actually driving. Have it tailored to my specific RV and setup. Number two, I want it to be really easy to use. I don't want it to be difficult to navigate the actual GPS function of it as we're navigating the RV. I want it to be easy to go through, being able to put in points of interest, not have to track down the address to everything or the GPS coordinates or anything like that. I would like it to be easy to use with a decent amount of points of interest inside of the GPS to be able to function it. I don't want it to be clunky. I also want it to be displayed well. I want to be able to look at the map and clearly see it. When you use Google Maps and you use it in the portrait mode, I think it looks absolutely fantastic. When you put it in the landscape mode, you turn your phone sideways, it's just harder to see the roads. I just don't think it's as well laid out for while you're driving. So I would like it to be displayed well. And the information, top and bottom, I want when I'm going to get there, how long it's going to take me, what's my next turn. Those are the things that I would like to have on it easily displayed. I don't want this to be a distraction. I want it to eliminate distractions and give me the information when I need it. The next one, now I'm getting picky. I don't want it to be cluttered. I don't want another device on the dash. So having it be an app, the Trucker app, I can just use it on the phone and it's just right there. I don't have another device that I'm trying to fit onto the dash and clutter things up. As far as not adding one more device to the dash, I have this doing the GPS function and it's our tire monitor. So as I'm driving, the GPS is giving me information that's a very short glance to it. And if there's an issue with one of the tires for the tire monitors, it's going to be displayed on there as well for the RV. So all in one unit and not a lot of clutter. I also don't want another subscription. I don't want to have to pay yearly or monthly or have it be too expensive of a unit. So since this one is free, fits that bill right away. Now, there's a few other things like map layers and a few functions, but those are the main things that I think a GPS for us RVing would need to be a good unit. So setting it up to fit your RV is where we need to start. So let's set up this GPS so we can use it in the RV. If you go into settings, we can set our length. Let's set the length. You don't get to input the exact number, but it gives you a range. I think it's within 5-foot increments. So you set your length and then you can set your height. This is pretty simple. You just want to measure the top of your RV and really the highest thing on your RV, which is going to typically be the AC unit. So measure how high the AC unit is from the ground when you're hooked up. So if you're a fifth wheel or a travel trailer, you want to measure it when you're hooked up to your tow vehicle. That way you get the accurate measurement when you're going down the road. Then we can input the weight of the RV and we can also change our fuel type. So if you put in the fuel type of your RV, it'll give you some recommendations for where to be able to fuel up. We also have voice command options in here. There's multiple voices, so whatever your preference is or whatever easier to hear. And this is pretty handy. You can have it avoid tolls. So sometimes you don't want to go on that toll road if it doesn't save you a ton of time and it's going to cost you a ton of money to go on that toll road. And then sometimes toll roads are not avoidable. So you're able to toggle that off and on depending on how you want to do it for that trip. Pretty handy. So now we can get started planning our route. And this is something that I think they've improved a lot over in the last year. So now you can pick 2 points that you want to see the directions between. So if you're not there at that location, you can say, I want to go from this point in California to this point in Arizona, and it'll give you the calculation and the direction between that. Now, I wish you could remove my current location so you could just see that route only, but It includes the current location to go to point A to point B, but you can still see the route that they're going to take you on. So that is very handy and very useful for being able to plan future trips too, and kind of wanting to see where your route might be. You can plan out your entire RV trip and make sure you're on the right roads. There's actually a lot of tools out there for planning your trip as a whole, but one thing that we like to keep on hand is this atlas that's made for truckers. Comes in very handy to be able to have a hard copy and to be able to look at routes and kind of make some planning. Sometimes it's easier to see things on paper than it is to see things digitally, and having a hard copy when you may not have cell service or different circumstances, this is extremely handy to have. So I highly recommend picking up this. It's not that expensive and just nice to be able to have in the RV. But back to the GPS, we input our route and then it brings up the map with the directions. I think it has a decent display of the map. Sometimes I wish it would zoom in a little bit more, give me which lane I need to be in if I'm in a city, if I need to exit. Those things would be handy, but I think it gives you a nice visual of the map. It's easy to see while you're driving. I do like the information it gives you at the bottom of the screen. It gives you just enough information without consuming a lot of the display. It gives you your estimated time of arrival, the amount of miles you have left in that trip, and your estimated time to destination. So those come in really handy. You also have a speedometer on that bottom, and I could do without it, but it's fine having it there. It never feels like it's in the way. And then at the top of the GPS, it's set up like you would hope a GPS would. It gives you your next turn and how far away that is. So handy information, gives you all the right information on the screen. Now there's a few features that I was really surprised by. So if you have a passenger in the vehicle that can look at these things while you're driving, or if you haven't left yet and you can swipe through some of these things. If you swipe up from the bottom, you can actually get the weather along your route if you're to leave at that time or be driving in real time. So it'll give you what the weather condition is as far as cloudy, sunny. It'll give you the temperature, the amount of precipitation, and it'll even give you wind speed and the direction. So pretty impressive to have all that packed into there. So it's kind of nice to know if you have some weather possibly coming up, you can get a little heads up of what's going to be ahead of you. Also wanted to mention that I feel like when it needs to reroute, say you went on your own little detour or you made a wrong turn, I feel like it redirects you and reroutes pretty quick, and it does a good job at it. So when that usually happens, if I'm driving, I'll ask my wife to take a look at the route, see if there's anything that looks weird or if we need to adjust to anything. With this magnet mount, it's just easy to pull it off and put it on without a whole lot of distraction. So I do like that. There's a few other settings in here that are kind of nice for RVers, just because I usually don't drive as quick as if I don't have the RV attached to us. You can set a speed profile, give you more of an accurate representation of when you're going to get to your destination. Now, there's also some quick links at the bottom of the display that's easy to get to for things that you might want along your route. Say a CAT scale or a truck stop or a rest stop. There's a handful of things at the bottom that just make it easy to navigate along your route. So that's everything that I really like about this GPS. It's free, it's able to be size specific for your RV, gives you decent directions, and it's easy to navigate. Now, the things that I wish would still get tweaked and improved, for number one, I wish you could change the volume control on this. I can change the voice, but I can't make the voice louder compared to music if we're using Bluetooth from the phone in the truck. I just wish that I could bump up that volume a little bit more so that I'm not straining to hear it. Second thing is, I wish it would give you lane detection. I know this is getting really nitpicky. I wish when you're going through cities, it would tell you which lane you need to be in. Usually if we're with the RV, we're gonna be pretty far to the right, but sometimes those lanes disappear, and it'd be nice to have a lane recommendation so that we don't get in an exit-only lane and need to get over. So we still have to watch those signs like you should do anyways, but just sometimes if you're in an unfamiliar area, knowing which lane you should be in is a huge help. And the third thing is it's just not quite as smooth as some of the more polished GPSs. I think they've made a huge advancement in making it a little more smooth and easy to operate and easy to navigate, but it's just not as polished as some of the bigger name brands. But one thing I have been impressed with is the amount of points of interest that are in there. So a lot of the RV parks, which are what we're going to be aiming for with this GPS, a lot of the bigger points of interest are in there. I'm not having to input specific addresses or anything like that. And you can even drop a pin when you need to. So let's look at some of the navigation things and how it's done well in different areas that it hasn't always gotten it 100% right, which, like I said, no GPS ever gets it 100% right all the time. So one route that I know of from my hometown is if you go from the fairgrounds in Prescott Valley, and if you try and go to the other side of Cottonwood, if you try and go through Jerome with too large of an RV, you're gonna get stuck. Semis get stuck there all the time trying to go through there, and they should probably use this GPS. So if you put in those 2 points of interest, you need it to not go through the mountains. You need it to take the long way around. So you put in that route information and you see that it passes the test properly. Now, one area where I've seen the GPS not be 100% accurate all the time is the final exact destination. If we look at Richardson Grove up in the Redwoods, we see that the point of interest is actually on the wrong side of the road. So if I was gonna recommend anything with this GPS is to look at your final destination and look at it on satellite. Make sure you're gonna be coming in the right entrance, know what you're gonna be doing when you get there, because that final exactly where the pin is on each side of the road might be different, and you might need to be on one side of the road or the other, or it makes it more complicated than it needs to be. So just look at how you need to pull into your final destination, and this GPS has done fantastic if you take that into consideration. So all in all, a free GPS to be able to use with your RV that doesn't clutter up a lot of your dash and gives you a lot of great route information. It's hard to complain about that. So I think that's gonna do it for today. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you wanna see more videos about RVing, hit that subscribe button. And if we don't see you on the road, hopefully we will see you next video.